write-in candidate for Congress, Representative, 17th District. A concern occurred yesterday that I think I should detail about. I was on a Breeze bus passing through the Sarasota Pavilion bus transfer. Actually, I got off the bus to the particular transfer pavilion. A man there, I didn't see it. I don't recall exactly what he said, but he looked like he was looking east and said a concern of some up north, that there is some up north talking about the world being taken over by the moon somehow. I know that doesn't seem likely. It sounds kind of ridiculous maybe, but it's what he said. And at the same time, I noticed that there was a semi truck trailer parked on the alley behind the Michael's Arts and Crafts store, not behind the store itself, but on the alley on the other side of the alley from the store. To me, it looked like maybe the symbolism on it was wanting to indicate the Earth maybe being encapsulated by the moon, and of course that is a difficulty that there are some who apparently actually prefer the moon pertaining to the Earth. So it is a worry. So I thought I'd go ahead and detail a little bit of history of the subject that I've experienced, and with this, seeking to be a representative of the people, the objective is always for the people to be safe instead. So my particularly, in the history of my life, I was never taught in the beginning. I was never taught anything in particular pertaining to the moon, except in school about the physical universe. We were taught about the existence of the moon that we've already seen, etc., and the dimensions and etc. But there was never any teaching, any religious teaching, or any teaching that there could be any danger pertaining to the moon. I remember that during the time of the Apollo moon program, I was living in Miami at the time. After the first landing, the headline in the Miami Herald took up the entire page about the first landing on the moon. And I remember a comment of my mother being kind of amusedly saying, "That isn't earth-shattering news." So I didn't know what she meant back then because I was a kid, and I'm still not sure. But I guess there was probably rumoring that the objective of reaching the moon was part of a fulfillment of an ancient conspiracy that pivoted on the moon. But hopefully it didn't really involve anything of the U.S. Apollo program. All those landings were actually on television. It was known that at the same time, during the same time frame, that the Soviet Union sent unmanned missions to the dark side of the moon. So whatever the argument is, I think when people look up and see the moon, it's still something of a mystery, but obviously the moon itself can't do anything to be causing anybody any harm. So any possibility of anything happening is a matter of manipulation. So anyway, through my youth, I've said I was never taught anything pertaining to the moon. The first indication of there being something didn't occur until 1990. Near the end of 1990, on one early evening, I was standing on the back upper floor of former stepfather Bill Love's house that he just built in Longboat Key, and the moon was above the Gulf of Mexico. And I noticed that suddenly it dipped slightly. The position of the moon dipped slightly towards the Gulf, and there was a wisp of a small cloud underneath the moon that when the moon dipped, the cloud also dipped. So I noticed that, but since I didn't have any suspicions or any teachings pertaining to the matter, I just thought about it some and considered, and then I didn't comment to him about it. So anyway, the next time I saw manipulation was when I was in Denver the year after. I had traveled to Denver on the Amtrak train, hoping to get a better start where there wasn't going to be any more of the loud harassing at me from traffic, but it followed me all the way. And on one early morning, I was sitting on a bus stop in East Colfax, near the end of East Colfax, facing east, and the moon was rising, and I noticed that it looked like it had a slight upward push about it. Just a momentary affectation. Obviously nothing harmful, but obviously there was something that could, at least slightly manipulate the moon. So anyway, by the time early 1995 arrived, I had been doing some studying in various libraries, including the library of a public library in St. Petersburg, and using resources in Bay Pines VA Center. And I found some studies that, I worked on studies of various importance that were on behalf of our nation and people, all from a amateur's point of view, without any specific secret knowledge or anything. And I learned a little bit about alphanumeric equivalents of words. That the letter A is number 1, and the letter Z is 26, etc. So to me that was something new, and I remember one day discovering that the word moon, for whatever reason, is almost the same numerically as the word comet. So I included those jots in notes that I ended up delivering to the Naval Investigative Service in Orlando in the spring of 1995. There were other studies that I thought were possibly very important against Hitler, kind of conspiring, indications of Holocaust kind of conspiring in our own nation against our own people. A lot of various subjects. They were all in a form of mostly handwritten notes and various studies. So anyway, I arrived to the NIS office, and they were first receptive. A pretty young woman agent spoke to me and said that my concerns made sense to her, and that I should return later in the week, and they'd see how they might instruct me to proceed. But when I returned, she wasn't there anymore, and a man working was just kind of a slough off of saying, well, we aren't a social services agency. And so I ended up proceeding back to Sarasota. But anyway, the only concern I knew of, without even any suspicion, was I had noticed that numerically the word moon equates to about the same as the word comet, just one factor difference. So I think there's a lot of theories pertaining to the origin of the moon, and one of the theories ended up being that the moon was first maybe a comet. That earlier in history it was predicted that the arrival of the moon was a harbinger of worldwide disaster. So I don't recall studying about that until some years after. But in 1995, I ended up being back to Sarasota, like I say, and ended up being forced to be homeless by the loud disruption, and ended up spending most of my nights out on Bee Ridge Road. And by about early 1997, just a little bit more than 2 years after the presentation to the office in Orlando, I've been through a really difficult day, always being argued at, harassed at by the traffic broadcasting, and I had some beers to help me to sleep. And I was very tired. I couldn't have done anything else, and I laid out on the front lawn of the Executive Center across from Village Plaza. Well, I was almost asleep, and I noticed that the full moon was approximately above Village Plaza area. And then suddenly it looked like some kind of an invisible force seized upon the moon and caused a slight shift in its position. And then it apparently started to glow more brightly to obscure any surface features, and was apparently suddenly getting nearer, as though it was being collided in some way. Well, that affectation lasted for maybe a minute, and then there was my visibility was obscured by clouds. But then then there was a luminous kind of a projection beneath the clouds that looked kind of like a flat tableland upside down. And then when the visibility of the moon occurred again, probably after another minute, that I saw that it was probably in about the same position that it had been, but it looked like the surface features had been removed from it somehow. And so everything was still all right. It was a quiet night. It was probably around 2 o'clock in the morning. And there are a few other details that I'll add. That whatever had happened, that the particular action had been pivoted on myself in particular. Like I said, I was too tired to do anything. I didn't even have a telephone, and so I soon slept. So during the time afterward, when it was obvious that there weren't any of the original surface features on the moon, I assumed that there was news about it, but I wasn't seeing any of it because I was homeless, having to be outside. And so I watched for headlines in the newspaper, though, but I never saw any pertaining to the moon. And after a couple of months, I got kind of tired of waiting that I had been a witness that something had happened. And I ended up calling a Tampa area news station. And I talked to someone who first sounded sensible about it, who asked me to call back the next Monday. I think I had called on a Friday from a payphone. But then when I called back, a very gay-sounding man answered the phone and was very flippant about it. And he said he listened to my description, and then he said his answer was, Bishop Planetarium says that isn't what happened, so that isn't what happened. So anyway, there's that left kind of an open-ended controversy. And the man's comment yesterday and some symbolism and other symbolism that I've seen leads to some worry. So anyway, I'm going to continue this and make a series about the subject that I'll maybe complete today or whenever soon. Anyway, as I said, this is for everyone being safe, for being sensible about that people are obviously originate from the living world, but we're thankful for the future and look forward to there being a future, and that any conspiracy pivoting on the moon, religious or otherwise, be prevented for the safety of everyone. Have a good day.